My beloved child, there are days when you lift your eyes to heaven and still feel lost. You hear people talking about a new season, about doors that are about to open, but inside you there is only exhaustion, confusion, and a faith that is slowly running dry. I am still right here, standing close to every sigh, yet your heart wanders somewhere far away, as if I were nothing more than a distant idea, no longer strong enough to uphold your life. I speak to you gently but very directly. Do not trifle with my word, because if you continue to treat my voice lightly, the very foundation of your life will be the first thing to crack. I am closer to you than the hidden fears you are trying to bury. Yet your heart runs from me through questions, schemes, and plans you invent to soothe yourself. I remind you of what has been spoken. Draw near to God and He will draw near to you. James 4:8. This is not a spiritual slogan, but an urgent invitation to a soul standing at the edge of bewilderment. Today I call you by name, not to frighten you, but to warn you if you keep holding on to a lukewarm faith and a divided heart. The shaking that is coming will not wait until you feel ready. It will expose everything you are trying to hide beneath the label, "I'm still fine." You have walked through so many days that feel the same. You pray, and then you are disappointed. You hope, and then you are let down. You wait, and then you give up. You assume, "I do not hear." So you try to manufacture some reason to keep moving. Maybe it's not God's timing yet. Maybe He is testing my heart. But deep inside, you know you are living with a half-hearted faith. You believe just enough not to dare walk away from me. But you do not trust enough to stand still and listen to what I have to say. I see you standing right at the threshold of a new season. Yet your hands are still clinging to old things, old fears, old habits. I do not condemn you for being weak, but I cannot stay silent while I watch you slip further from my will simply because you refuse to stop and listen. Now I begin to touch something deeper inside you. You wonder why you are in turmoil, why your heart feels empty. Yet you keep searching for answers everywhere except in me. You open one video after another, one sermon after another. You ask this person, then that person. You wait for a sign, an emotional miracle strong enough to convince you that I still remember you. You say you believe, but by the way you act, you show that you think I am still very far away. So you must go hunting for signs, begging for confirmations, gathering scraps of reassurance from human words. You do not realize that the more you frantically run around searching, the further your heart drifts from the only place where you can receive a true answer, and that is my voice, whispering to you in the quiet. Contrary to what you think, I have not hidden my face from your life. I am standing in the very room where you sit, in the ordinary moments you call meaningless, in the hours you scroll past thinking this is just random. I am speaking to you not through bizarre dreams or strange phenomena, but through the small stirrings you have brushed aside again and again as probably just my imagination. Even the fact that you are hearing or reading these words today is not an accident. This is the very sign you have been insisting I give you. Only you did not expect it to come in such a simple form. I see every hidden corner you dare not reveal to anyone. I count the times you sigh that even you forget. I know the questions that never quite make it into words. The silent tragedy is not that I have forgotten you, but that you keep believing you have been forgotten. So you continue chasing after other voices that are easier on the ears, instead of returning to the word I have long been speaking over you. Today, I draw your eyes back to what is near. Pause for a moment. Do not rush off to look for another sign. Be honest with me. You have grown so used to chasing external confirmation that you have forgotten that I am the one pursuing your heart. I do not promise you a smooth and painless road, nor do I tell you that as long as you feel something, everything will be fine. I am calling you back to the beginning, not the beginning of your circumstances, but the beginning of our relationship between you and me. From here on, every word I speak, every time I stir your spirit, will become the foundation from which I lead you into the next truths, so that you will understand your life is not spinning in meaningless chaos. It is precisely in that chaos that I am speaking more clearly than ever. It is just that you have been so busy listening to other noises that you no longer recognize my voice. My child, I see in your eyes a very real longing. You want to know that I still remember you. You want to be reassured. You want something unusual enough to prove that I am at work. But because of that very desire, your heart has started to drift in another direction. You begin chasing outward signs, as if I can only speak to you through jolts and miracles. I see you asking one person here, looking for a prophecy there, or trying to stitch random events together into a signal from heaven. You do not realize that the more you seek like this, the further you step from the place where I truly want to meet you, not in the crowd, not in rumors, but right within your own heart. I do not blame you for being weak, but I do awaken you because you are gradually allowing a craving to feel something clearly, to replace genuine trust. And that is the first slippery step that makes your soul more weary instead of strengthened. You chase after signs not because you lack intelligence, but because you have gone through so many disappointments that you no longer have enough peace to stand still. I see that. You have lived in a state of anxiety for so long that your heart has defaulted to this. If nothing unusual happens, then God must not have touched my situation yet. But you forget that the greatest works I do in Scripture often do not come with blazing lights or earth-shaking storms, but with very quiet movements in the human heart. Like the time I called Samuel in the night, my voice did not roar. It was as soft as a breath, so gentle that the boy thought he had misheard it 3 times. Do you see, when a person's heart is too troubled, they lose the ability to recognize my presence, and they begin to look for everything outside just to compensate for the emptiness within. Do you remember the story of Jehu in the Old Testament? I anointed him king, and to confirm that, I did not give him a sign in the heavens. I did not send an angel to appear. I did not shake the earth. I simply sent a young man, an unknown prophet, a nameless servant, to walk into the room and speak a very simple sentence. Thus says the Lord, and with just that one word, his entire destiny changed. The strange thing is the people around him saw no bright light, witnessed no miracle, yet they still recognized that it was my word because their hearts had been trained to live under my rule. Do you see? The greatest sign is not something spectacular outside human sight, but a heart humble enough to hear me speak through the smallest thing. I tell you this so you will understand when the heart is surrendered. Every word I speak, however gentle, becomes the very confirmation you have been waiting for. My beloved child, I invite you to return to me in the simplest way. Stop running. Stop searching. Stop analyzing clues that do not come from me. Come back to the quiet, the place where my voice does not have to compete with your fears or your urgency. You will see this clearly when you are willing to sit down, to breathe more slowly, to open your heart before me. The other noises will fade on their own, and you will hear what you have longed for all this time. I am not so far away that I must shout with thunder to get your attention, nor so cold that I must shatter something in your life just so you will notice me. I am speaking bit by bit, speaking through my peace, through a verse of Scripture that suddenly shines brighter than usual, through a fleeting stirring when you pray. If you return to me in this way, you will no longer need to beg for signs, because my very presence, close enough, real enough, will become the greatest sign in your life. But my child, I also know there is something deeper that makes it hard for you to hear me. Your heart is not at rest. Your mind is like a surface of water constantly swept by the wind. so that anything gentle I send is drowned before you can even notice it. I see the tug of war within you between what you believe and what you fear, between the promises I have given and the circumstances that threaten you every day. I know my voice cannot break through when your inner world is so noisy. And this is not simply your fault. It is the consequence of all the days you tried to stand firm in your own strength. That is why, before you can recognize the true sign, I must touch the chaos inside you. That is where I will take you next. Because if your inner being is not at peace, then no matter how clearly I speak, your heart will still hear me wrong. My child, I see within you a hidden wind that even you do not know where it began. It is not as fierce as a storm, yet not as gentle as mist. It is slow, silent, and persistent, covering everything I say to you with a thin layer of dust. It is not that I am silent, but that your heart is too full of overlapping thoughts, unnamed anxieties, and questions that echo in your mind until you begin to think, I have stopped speaking. I see you trying to listen to me in the middle of countless noises. But the more you try, the more tired you become, and the more exhausted you are, the more you believe that I am distant. Let me say this softly. My voice never goes silent. It is only that your inner world has grown so turbulent that there is no room left to recognize my whisper. You are living in the midst of an inner war you have never clearly named, between what you once believed and what you are now doubting, between a faith that once burned bright and the emotions that are dragging you down day by day. I see that struggle. I see you wanting to believe and yet fearing you will be disappointed one more time. Inside you, everything is tinged with uncertainty. My promises suddenly feel far away. The good things I have done for you in the past are overshadowed by the most recent crises. You think I am silent, but in reality this turmoil has become an invisible wall, blocking the light I am sending you each day. You are not wrong for feeling weak. The only mistake is believing that this feeling has the right to define my voice. My child, I want you to look a little deeper. Have you noticed that every time your heart is in turmoil, you choose to listen to other voices that more quickly stir your emotions? Social media, the opinions of others, well-meaning but shallow advice. Those voices come fast, loud, and emotionally charged, so they temporarily fill the emptiness inside you. But because they are only noise, they have no authority to heal you. They merely distract you so you can forget your weariness for a moment. I have never competed for your attention with any other voice, because I am the God of peace, not the author of confusion. Yet when you give those noisy voices greater priority, your heart will only grow more confused, and my voice, gentle and wholly true, will become harder and harder for you to hear. My beloved child, let me lead you out of that swirl. I am not calling you to be strong right away, nor am I demanding that you become instantly and completely still. I am simply inviting you to do one very small yet profoundly important thing. Stop. Stop running after your feelings. Stop trying to guess my intentions. Stop letting your heart decide how loud my voice should be. When you stop, you will see that the peace I give is not a burning emotion, but a gentle clarity that slowly unfolds like the light of early morning. I want to lay a new foundation in your heart, to wipe away the dust of confusion so you can clearly see the things I am arranging for you. As long as you are willing to sit before me, to listen without rushing to interpret, I will help your heart become still once more. Even so, you will come to realize that confusion is not just a passing feeling. It is the most subtle enemy in your spiritual journey. It pulls you back and forth between many pieces of advice, many directions, many unfinished thoughts, keeping you constantly busy but never truly moving forward. I do not blame you for losing your way, because I know there are seasons when you are pushed into a storm you did not create. But I do not want you to stay there. For if you allow your heart to remain so noisy, you will miss the things I am already preparing for your life. I want to bring you out of the realm of confusion into the realm of clarity, where every other noise fades and only my voice carries enough weight to direct your steps. And then, when your heart grows just a little quieter, you will begin to notice another reality you may have never considered many times. It is not that you cannot hear me, but that your heart has grown used to treating my voice as nothing more than background sound in your busy life. There is a danger there, more silent than chaos itself. That danger is numbness, and this will lead us to a deeper truth. There are those who hear my voice every day and yet live as though they have heard nothing. You are not alone in this, but I want you to recognize it so that you do not step into that dangerous territory. For my voice is not meant to decorate your spiritual life, but to lead you through the doors I have prepared ahead of you. My child, there are things that do not need noise to lead you astray. It is enough for you to grow accustomed to spiritual numbness, and every word I speak will sink like a stone into deep water. I see in you and in many others a habit more dangerous than fear itself, hearing my words so often that you no longer truly pay attention. My voice is still being heard, but no longer received, still being repeated, but no longer pondered, still being read, but no longer piercing the soul. It is precisely this familiarity that makes you gentle with sin, heavy with anxiety, and careless toward the warnings I send. I do not condemn you, but I cannot remain silent as I watch your soul drift like this. For when my voice is taken lightly, you lose the most important compass you have amid all the shifting winds that are coming. Many think that hardness of heart comes from openly resisting me with a deliberate attitude. But in truth, it often begins with very small things, postponing obedience just once, letting your feelings lead instead of seeking me, brushing aside a gentle prompting because you assume it cannot be that serious. I witnessed this in the people of Israel. Long ago, they did not become rebellious in a single day. They grew hardened little by little. Through each time, they treated my word as optional rather than essential. You are living in a time when spiritual indifference can be disguised very skillfully. It is not loud. It does not make you panic. It simply lulls you into a gentle stagnation. You feel you are still fine, still attending services, still praying, still listening to sermons, yet your heart is no longer allowing me to touch the deepest places within. This grieves me, not because you have offended me, but because you are losing the chance to be healed from the inside out. My beloved child, I earnestly invite you to return to the spiritual sensitivity you once had at the beginning. Do not let your heart become calloused just because of prolonged wounds or disappointments that have not yet been resolved. When you let my voice become background noise instead of guiding light, you strip yourself of the ability to discern which direction I want you to walk in. I do not want you to hear my word merely as a habit. I want it to become your very breath, the light that shines on every choice, the first and last sound of each day you live, however dry you may feel. If you are willing to open your heart once more, I will melt the hardness that is formed around it. I am patient enough to wait, but do not wait until every door of woundedness closes and I must knock harder to shake you awake. There is one thing I want you to ponder when the soul grows indifferent. People do not only become slow to hear my voice, they also slip easily into a false sense of safety. They think they are standing firm, when in truth they are merely standing still. And it is precisely this standing still that keeps them from recognizing the significant movements I am bringing about behind the curtain of time. You must not overlook this, because your spiritual alertness will determine how deeply I can lead you into the coming season. I am not calling you to fear, nor am I forcing you to be flawless. I simply want you awake, responsive, and appropriately trembling before my word, so that you do not lose the final opportunities for healing I am opening before your eyes. As long as you can still feel a stirring within, that alone is proof that I have not left you. What remains is whether you will respond or not. And then, when you allow my word to reach deeply into you once again, you will see what many have yet to understand in your hardness of heart. I do not reject you. I wait. I wait to draw you out of that half-awake, half-asleep state and bring you into a clarity you have never dared to step into before. It is this response of yours that will open the way for you to grasp a secret that few perceive. Seasons of silence and brokenness are never meaningless. They are a furnace not to crush you, but to prepare you for a greater shaking that is drawing near. My child, there are seasons in your life that pass quietly, like darkness stretched across a moonless field. No one sees your tears. No one knows how many nights you turn from side to side in sheer exhaustion. And at times even you no longer recognize how weak you have become. You assume that I am silent, that I stand far off, that I leave you to endure alone. But the truth is not what you think. I do not stand outside your trials. I stand in the midst of them. Every tear you shed, every prayer you think has vanished into empty space. I receive not to abandon you, but to work in a silence you cannot perceive. You often look back on long years of waiting and conclude, surely God has forgotten me. I have heard that sentence from many, but when it comes from you, it grieves me in a particular way. You do not realize that precisely when you feel I am farthest is when I am working closest. When I led Israel out of Egypt, there was a time when I was silent for 3 days on the way to the Red Sea. There were no miracles, no new instructions, only a frightening emptiness. Yet it was in those very 3 days that I arranged Pharaoh's army to pursue them to the exact moment when I would open the sea, allowing my people to cross while their enemies were swallowed beneath the waves. Had I acted sooner or later, the outcome would not have been complete. Do you see, silence is not abandonment. It is the moment when I align every detail so precisely that even the angels must fall quiet and wait for the instant I move. My beloved child, look again at the closed doors over which you once wept. There are things I have shut, not to punish you, but to shield you from what you do not yet see would wound your soul. I once forbade Paul to enter Asia and Bithynia, even though he burned with desire to preach the gospel, and only when he accepted that silence did I open the vision calling him to Macedonia, a mission that changed the course of church history. Consider this, the thing I am withholding in your life, is it merely a delay, or is it a redirection so that you stand in the right place for something greater? When you sit in your room and sigh over a longing that never seems to come to pass, I am rearranging the order of circumstances around you, things you cannot see, but which I see more clearly than anyone. You often think that waiting time is wasted time, but my child, not a single moment do I let slip by without meaning. I use trials to open your eyes, your tears to deepen your endurance, and your disappointments to cut away the fragile supports you still cling to. I do not want you to step into a new season with trembling feet that lean on feelings rather than faith. So I allow difficult things to happen, not to discourage you, but to forge in you a weighty faith, a faith that will not collapse before any gust of changing winds. Remember this: when I have not yet acted on the outside, it is because I am still working deep within your heart. And then, just when you feel you have waited too long, that is often the very moment I am preparing to bring things to completion. You are living in days when the world is about to enter a great transition. Everything you once took for granted may be shaken. But do not be afraid. The shaking does not come to destroy you, but to settle you on a new, firmer foundation. What you once clung to may fall away, but what I have planted in you will stand. That is why your season of waiting has been so long, because I am building within you a structure strong enough to carry what I am about to entrust to you. You may not understand now, but you will see in time I never delay anything that would harm you. I only delay until you are able to bear the blessing I have prepared. My dear one, when you realize that silence is not pointless, your heart will grow lighter and your eyes will open to a new perspective. You will see that waiting is not a sign of abandonment, but evidence that I am lifting you from old foundations and preparing you for a powerful change of season. And then, when you are standing a little more firmly, I will bring you to the next step you must choose. For on the threshold of a new season, no one is allowed to remain halfway. I will speak this to you, gently but clearly. All you need to do is ask me to go on. My child, before every season, I prepare. I always place my people before a threshold not to make things difficult, but to make a distinction. And today, you too are standing at that very line. You sense that something is changing, yet your heart is still caught between two shores. On one side is my call. On the other is the old safety you are used to holding on to. I do not shout at you, but I cannot let you step into a new season with a patched-together faith, for the winds that are coming will not be gentle, and only those who stand truly firm on my word will be able to go on without being swept into the whirlpools of this world. I say this not to frighten you, but to awaken you. Look deep into your own heart for a moment and see, are you still holding on to a few things for your own protection? An old fear, a comfortable habit of ease, an emotional attachment you think you need to keep in case I don't move in time. I see that more clearly than you think. You say you trust me, but many times that trust is like a person standing at the edge of the sea, only dipping a foot in to test the water, never daring to step all the way in. You want me to move first so that you can dare to believe afterward, but true faith does not operate like that. I do not base your faith on what you feel, but on your steps of obedience. You only need to take one small step, and that step will separate you from the half-heartedness that is weighing your soul down day after day. You know, there is a story in the Bible that is rarely mentioned, but I want to tell it to you now, the story of Elisha and the 3 arrows. When King Joash came to Elisha seeking help, the prophet told him to take a bow and arrows and strike the ground. It was a simple act, not difficult, not requiring strength or talent, only determination. But the king struck the ground only 3 times and then stopped. Elisha cried out in sorrow, "If only you had struck it 5 or 6 times, because of that half-heartedness, the king's victory would be only partial, not complete as I had intended." Do you see? There was no sinful action there, only a lack of resolve. And it was that very lukewarmness that limited what I longed to do for my people. So then, my beloved child, I do not call you to come to me only with feelings. I ask of you a clear decision. Either you surrender fully, or you will be swept along by the passing winds of temporary things. It is not because I am harsh, but because the age you live in no longer allows for vagueness. When you try to move forward without choosing where you will truly stand, your soul will be torn in two, 1 step with me, 1 step with your fears, 1 step with hope, 1 step with your weary emotions. I want to free you from that inner conflict. I want your heart to be light. I want you to know where you stand, not so that I can feel reassured, but so that you yourself will no longer wander without direction. My child, I am not inviting you into a casual journey, nor am I saying, if you have time, then follow me. I am placing before you a holy command: leave passivity behind. Let go of your temporary supports, and walk with me through this season of upheaval. I know this is not easy. I know there are things you want to hold on to simply because they are familiar, but no fragile foundation can withstand the tremors that are coming. If you choose to remain in the so-called safe zone, that very safe zone will be the first to collapse because it is only a fragile illusion. Yet if you stand upon my word, You will pass through even what others call impossible. I am not demanding that you be strong. I am only asking you to choose. And as you begin to choose to turn toward me, you will see this more clearly. Every step you take, every decision you make, every time you choose faith over fear, it does not affect only you. It touches even those who are watching you without your knowing it. There are people who need the light from your journey in order to find their way back to me. There are people I will save through your quiet obedience. You think your choices are small, but in my kingdom, no act of obedience is meaningless. Every time you rise again, all of heaven trembles with you. My dear child, the road ahead will not resemble the days behind you. The season of easy comfort has come to an end, not because I am strict with you, but because I am moving you into a different stage, a stage that carries weight, purpose, and glory. All you need to do is place your hand in mine. Follow me, and let go of the half-heartedness that is wearing your heart out. When you do that, you will sense something very strange. Your heart will no longer be tossed about as before, even though your circumstances have not yet changed. For that decisive step itself is what opens the door to the new season you have long been waiting for. My child, do not let your ears close in this moment, because you are not standing in a random point in time. You are standing on ground that I, myself, have set apart and consecrated for you. Everything you are hearing now is not meant as temporary comfort, nor as a mere soothing of your emotions. This is the moment when I am removing each invisible chain you have carried for so many years. The things you thought you had left behind, but that still cling to your soul like long shadows. I have come to lift off those weights, to take from your heart the sharp fragments of pain you have hidden so carefully that sometimes you yourself forget how much they have wounded you. You have grown so used to living with inner instability that you have begun to call it normal. But I am redefining your entire inner life, resetting balance where everything once wavered, healing fractures that no one knows about except me. You no longer have to wake each morning afraid of which emotional abyss you might fall into today. I am replacing those sudden rises and crashes with solid ground on which you can stand, breathe, and walk without fear that it will crumble at any moment. I am anchoring your heart into a new steadiness, where faith is no longer dictated by emotion, where you will know for certain that you belong to me and not to your circumstances. You must understand that I do not build your spiritual life on sinking sand. I am setting you upon rock, a foundation that does not change with the weather, is not shaken by outward conditions, and does not crumble with every shifting wind. I am strengthening your inner being, making firm the spiritual sinews within you, so that you are no longer dragged along by the sudden upheavals of life. You were not created to be swept away, to chase after events, or to merely struggle to keep your balance under waves of pressure. You were created to lead the way, to stand upright in the storm, to become a light by which others can find their bearings when night falls. I have placed within you a strength you have never fully discovered, not a burst of power that flares up in a passing emotion, but a steadfastness, a clarity, and a peace that only those who go very deep in me can have. You are learning how to stand firm not by excitement, but by being anchored in my word and the truth I have planted within you. Know that the words you are hearing now are not just words, they are water being poured over the cracked, dry ground of your soul. A warm breath blowing over the places that have grown cold from exhaustion. Every word I speak carries weight, carries intention, and links together like the rings of a chain of freedom that I am wrapping around you to pull you up out of the chasms where you have remained for far too long. Do not take lightly even the smallest stirring in your heart, for no movement within you happens outside of my will. Every shift in your spirit is proof that I am working more powerfully than you can feel. Do you sense, as if someone were lifting a familiar weight off your shoulders? That is me. Do you notice your breaths lengthening a little? your heart beating a little more gently, your mind becoming a little clearer. That is also me. You may not see everything yet, but my fingerprints are being pressed onto every dark corner you once feared to bring into the light. I know every detail of the house you live in. I know the tension threading through every word spoken, every glance exchanged, every silence no one dares to touch. I understand the way you swallow back sentences midway because you do not want to make things more chaotic. I see conversations that begin in peace but end in heavy quiet. The unnamed sadnesses, the times you take on responsibility for everyone else's emotions just to keep the atmosphere from shattering. I see it all. There is not a single breath in that house whose sound I do not hear. But today I step into that place not as a judge coming to rebuke, but as the King of Peace, coming to extinguish every hidden fire threatening your rest. I enter with gentleness, yet with full authority, the kind of authority that can soften hardened hearts, quell burning anger, and dissolve constricting fear. You do not have to fix anything by yourself before I move. I begin right in the middle of things exactly as they are. I am not giving you a fragile calm like the world offers, the kind of peace that appears for a moment and disappears the next. The peace I place in your home has weight, has a voice, has the authority to reset the atmosphere. It does not only soothe your own heart, it also touches those around you, even those you think will never change. The peace I give does not just lie quietly in your chest. It radiates like the early morning light, reaching into every corner of darkness, creating a new environment where forgiveness can find room, where gentle words can be spoken without fear of causing offense, where wounds that seem to have turned to stone begin to soften so that light can enter. I am creating a new atmosphere, not by forceful control, but by my gentle yet mighty presence. You think these things will only happen when everything gets better, but I want you to know that I am acting right now while you listen, while you breathe, while your heart is being touched by what I say. The restoration you long for does not begin with your circumstances changing. It begins with my touch upon the deepest part of you. And from there, the change will spread outward. In this very moment, I am arranging the scattered fragments within you into a new structure that can stand firm in the coming season. What you thought would take years to heal, I am shortening. What you thought you had to strive for by yourself, I am doing on your behalf. What you once trembled to face, I am lifting from your shoulders so that you no longer have to bear it alone. And my beloved child, understand this so that your heart may rest more securely. There is no healing I begin that I do not complete. Once I have laid my hand upon your life, I will not withdraw it until you are standing firm on new legs, with a renewed mind and a renewed faith. I am shaking off of you the things that once pulled you down, drawing you out of old cycles, and breathing new life into places you thought were already dead. All of this is happening right now, not one day, not when you are better, but in the present moment. This very moment is the starting point of a rebuilding season I have long prepared for you. All you need to do is keep your heart open to receive, and I will take care of the rest. My child, do not underestimate what I am sowing into your soul in this sacred moment. This is not only about words, this is heaven itself touching earth in your own life. I do not bless you with empty phrases. I bless you with real transformation. And that transformation is taking place in you, little by little, like water seeping into dry soil and softening it in preparation for a new season of growth. Let your heart lean toward me. Let your spirit melt in my presence. Let fear fall from your shoulders like stones crumbling after a long, weary journey. As you receive my words with your whole being, you are opening for yourself a new path you never knew could exist. A path that leads into peace, wholeness, strength, and maturity, which I prepared for you from the very beginning, from the moment I first knew your name. My child, I will keep walking with you in the flow of emotion I have already stirred within you. But this time I breathe into your soul a breath that is stronger, deeper, and more penetrating, so that you may realize that every moment you keep your eyes turned toward me, everything in the unseen realm is moving far more fiercely than you imagine. Every second you choose to turn your heart toward the sound of my voice is a second in which all of heaven is at work to protect you, uphold you, and align you with the very current I have ordained. Never think that spiritual focus is just a fleeting feeling. In my world, it is an act of power. When your mind turns toward me, that is when the spiritual hedge around your life is being built higher and stronger. When the darkness is being pushed back, step by step. When every scheme of the enemy is being choked off at the very moment it begins to form. Do not let anything at all, whether as small as a wandering thought or as weighty as a crushing circumstance, invade the space between you and me. This is not a news report you can pause and return to later. This is the very flow that comes from me, the source of life, the keeper of your soul, the one who is writing every breath that you take. My voice is not a sound you listen to merely for information. It is the river of truth that flows from my throne, touching your spirit with the purpose of healing, delivering, breaking chains, and opening doors you have long believed were locked shut. Every word I speak carries a frequency of freedom, and every declaration I make is like one of the great stones being set in its proper place to open the way for you to step into the breakthrough I have prepared. You have often asked yourself why your heart feels so tired, why each time you hear a message from me, you seem to face yet another obstacle right after. You thought it was coincidence. But I tell you this, the things that try to pull you down never come by accident. There are those who wear a gentle face and speak soft words, but behind them is a silent jealousy that longs to rob you of the joy I have given. There are those who seem concerned, yet in their hearts they hope you will stumble so they can prove themselves more right than you. There are those who deliberately throw words at you that make you doubt yourself, doubt my leading, and even doubt the very value I have placed in you. I know it all. I know exactly who they are. I know what they think. I know the intentions they hide behind their smile. And I know the words they release are not accidental but aim to push you off the path I have drawn out for you. And it is not only you, everyone who follows me must pass through such looks and such words, but the difference is this: I do not allow them to reach the root of your being unless you give them permission. You may feel weak, feel as if others are winning, feel as if you have no place. But the truth is that I am covering you with a mantle of power that no human eye can see. On your journey, the enemy is not the people who oppose you or speak ill of you, but the dark spirits trying to use them to destroy the good work I am building within you. They lay obstacles, set emotional traps, sow whispered words that make you waver. But I remind you of one thing: they do not hold authority over your life. They do not have the key to unlock the door of your future. They cannot rewrite what I have decreed. They cannot lay a hand on the plans I am crafting with my skilled hands and perfect will. Not one of them, not a single person, not a single word, not a single intention has a power that exceeds what I proclaimed before you ever drew your first breath. I stand above every manipulation. I see through every scheme conceived in the shadows. I know the things people never confess with their mouths but harbor in their hearts. I hear even the whispered words they think no one else can hear. And I stand above all of it. No injustice escapes my hand. No accusation can penetrate the essence I have placed within you. No misunderstanding can twist the worth I have woven into your soul. I, the Lord your God, am the one who has the final word, and I am the one speaking directly to your heart in this very moment. You do not need to be afraid. You do not need to strain yourself to fight as though you were standing alone in the middle of the battlefield. You do not need to protect the calling I have placed on your life. I am the one who guards it. You do not need to shield yourself from harsh words or opinions designed to wound you. I am your refuge. You do not need to prove your worth before anyone. Your true worth comes from me. And what I give, no one has the right to take back. You do not need to explain yourself to those who never truly wish to understand. You need only to listen to my voice and keep walking forward. Do not forget this. The enemy is not afraid when you are tired. It is afraid when you still turn your heart toward me, even in your exhaustion. It is not afraid when you cry. It is afraid when you cry yet still hold my promises in your heart. It is not afraid when you collapse. It is afraid when you collapse yet refuse to let go of my hand. Every time you persist in listening to me, heaven takes note. Every time you choose to trust me instead of the noise around you. My angels take their appointed positions to protect you from what you cannot see. And every time you keep moving forward, though your heart is weary, the kingdom of darkness loses another portion of its grip on your life. My child, I want you to understand this deeply. Focusing on my voice is not merely paying attention, it is surrender. It is your declaration before heaven and earth that I choose to stand under the authority of the Almighty God. When you choose this, you step out of the zone where the enemy's attacks are fiercest and into my covering the realm where every scheme sent to break you is shattered at the very threshold. I speak to you to keep you within that covering, not to increase your burden, but to save your soul from the subtle cuts you have not yet recognized. I know there are days when your heart is so drained that you only want silence, when you do not want to hear anything more. Do not want to try even a little bit harder. I know there are times you feel misunderstood, excluded, set aside as if you no longer have any worth. But it is in those very moments that I draw nearest. You think I am distant, but in truth I am right beside you, guarding every beat of your heart, preserving your faith from being extinguished by invisible storms. You are not walking by your own strength. You are walking by the strength I am providing from behind you. Do not underestimate the power of the faithfulness you offer me, even in your darkest days. For every minute you choose to remain in my presence, you are opening up a new sky over your life, a sacred ground where my word is sown and will bear fruit in the time I have chosen. I did not raise you up to be a victim of others' words, but to be a living testimony of my power revealed in the life of one who listens. You think you are waiting for me, but you do not realize that I am also waiting for you to grasp that every opposition, every hardship, every injustice is still under my authority. And when you know this deeply, you will no longer tremble at the noise, no longer grow discouraged at criticism, no longer be shaken when the road turns rough. You will stand upright, stand firm, and stand boldly, because you know to whom you belong. And now, let me say this final word to you in this moment. Every word I have spoken to you, every promise I have planted in your heart, I myself will guard until it is fulfilled. No opposition is strong enough to reverse the command I have issued. No power can block the will I am carrying out in your life. You need only keep your eyes fixed on me, and I will take care of the rest. My child, listen to me deeply, for what I am about to say is not only to comfort you, but to lift you up out of the weariness that has long imprisoned your soul. There are things I have been quietly preparing for a very long time, to the point that even the angels were not informed beforehand, because the timing belongs to me alone. And today, I open before your eyes a truth you have longed for in the darkest hours of your life. Every force that ever hindered you, every silent opposition, every distorted word you have ever swallowed in silence, all those things that seemed impossible to untangle are being dismantled in this very moment, not by your strength, but by my power, which is moving like a flood to demolish the doors that have held you captive, the invisible walls that tripped you so many times, that wore your heart out, that drew sighs from you in lonely places, are now cracking layer by layer. You no longer need to use your own strength to break them, for I have laid my hand upon them, and when I act, no power can stand. You have endured many things others know nothing about, being misunderstood, pushed aside, judged through distorted lenses, deemed not good enough or unworthy. You have tried to endure in silence, tried to guard your own peace, tried to avoid arguments in order to keep my name unstained. Yet deep inside, you know your soul has grown weary. I have seen every time you wanted to speak up, to respond, to say something to prove that you have walked upright before me. But then you chose silence, chose restraint, chose to step back so as not to become the one who strikes back. You think that silence has put you at a disadvantage, but I say to you that very silence is the seed I am using to prepare the day I rise up on your behalf. There are battles meant only for me, not for you, and every time you choose not to fight back is the moment you hand me the right to intervene in a way no one can deny. My beloved, what I am about to do is not a response colored by revenge, but a revelation that you belong to me and that I never abandon those who follow me with an upright heart. The forces that tried to make you hesitate, the people who doubted your motives, the voices that drowned you out through many seasons, all of them will be compelled to witness my intervention. It will not be you proving that you are right. It will be I proving that I am with you. The vindication I give you will not come from human words, but from the very works I perform in your life. And when I move, every tongue that rose against you will fall silent, not because you have defeated them, but because I cause truth to shine brighter than any word spoken. When my light exposes every hidden corner, the darkness has no choice but to retreat. You have often thought you were hidden, that you had slipped out of my attention, that you were merely comforting yourself when you asked me to intervene. But you did not know that in that season of silence, I was gathering every tear you shed as testimony before heaven. Not one prayer you whispered in the night was meaningless. Not one sigh fell into emptiness. Every time you sat and watched injustice surround you, yet kept your heart from bitterness. I took note. I did not merely see your circumstances. I saw how faithful you remained in them. And that very faithfulness is why today becomes the day I rise to vindicate you. Your quiet endurance has opened the door for me to act in the clearest and most powerful way. My child, there are things I have allowed to happen in your life not to diminish you, but to expose the true intentions of those around you. If I had acted sooner, you would not have seen who was sincere and who only stood beside you while you were strong. If I had intervened too quickly, you would not have seen who loves you for my sake and who uses my name to wound you. I have peeled back layer after layer so that you might see what you needed to see, so that you would know who truly walks with you and who is only a passing shadow. And now, when every motive has come to light, this is the moment I address everything with my authority. No one can shut the door I am preparing to open for you, and no one can keep you trapped in what I have determined to break apart at its appointed time. Many times you have cried out, Lord, what must I do? Should I speak up? Should I fight back? Should I defend myself? And I remained silent. Not because I abandoned you, but because I wanted to protect you from fighting the wrong battle. There are spiritual battles that are not meant for you to fight with words or actions, but for you to stand still and watch me work. I want you to know that absolute vindication never comes from your wisdom, but from my presence. When I step in, closed doors will open, false accusations will fall to the ground, and plans formed against you will crumble by themselves. My intervention needs no introduction. It is powerful enough to silence even the long-standing voices that have wearied you for so long. And you will see this with your own eyes. Those who once said you could never go far will be astonished when they see me lift you higher than they ever imagined. Those who slandered you, doubted you, belittled you will have no words left when I reveal my glory through your life. I do not say this to feed pride in your heart, but to remind you that all I do is because you belong to me. No one has the right to decide your destiny besides me. Doors that seemed shut forever will open. Barriers that seemed impossible to cross will be torn up from their foundations. Words of scorn that seemed etched deep into your heart will be wiped away by me like mist dissolving under the morning sun. And all of this will happen in such a way that even your enemies will have to acknowledge that I am with you. My beloved child, I want you to step into a new season without carrying the weight of old doubts. Those wounds no longer have a voice in your life. The vindication I am bringing is not only a restoring of your honor, but an untying of every knot in your soul, those things that kept you from walking lightly. I am releasing you from the grip of unjust words, from the fear of being misunderstood, from the feeling that you must constantly defend yourself. I am closing an old chapter and opening a new one, where you walk with a heart no longer out of rhythm. You no longer need to strive to prove your worth. I myself will prove it through the very works I do in and through you. Therefore, stand upright, not in pride, but in the assurance that I am doing what no one can stop. This is not only the day you are lifted up, this is the day I place a clear mark of distinction upon your life. I stand on your side, not because you are perfect, but because you remain faithful in moments when you no longer wanted to go on. I honor you, not because you are strong, but because you chose to stand with me even when it cost you something. Today I declare that my silence in past days was not lack of concern, but the time in which I was preparing to do things that will make everyone recognize it is I alone who can break the chains that have bound you. And now, look closely, your circumstances are not the same anymore. The very atmosphere around you is changing. Paths that seemed blocked are being opened. You will feel this lightness, not as a fleeting emotion, but in every step you take, because today, this very day, I am vindicating you. You do not need to speak up. You do not need to fight. You do not need to explain. I will do it all. You need only follow me and allow me to continue writing the story I began in your life. You are mine, and I will make it plain to everyone through my faithfulness toward you. My child, I am doing things you never even dared to imagine would happen in your life. Right in the very places where you once bowed your head in shame, in the places where you once looked up only to meet the contemptuous eyes of people. There I am restoring your dignity like a lamp that has been wiped clean and set on a high stand, so that all who look may know that it is my hand at work. I am taking you back to the very places you were afraid to face, but this time not for you to be wounded again, rather for you to walk as one who has been anointed, carrying authority from heaven, no longer trembling before the voices that once made you doubt yourself. I have seen how many times you bowed your head, and I have also seen how many cruel words you silently endured. Words that once fractured your heart. I have heard all the times you whispered in secret, Lord, when will I be able to lift my head? And now I answer you through the very works I am doing. I am honoring you in the very places where people once thought you would always fail. You once believed you were only standing on the sidelines of someone else's story. But I have written a new chapter just for you, where honor is restored not because people try to please you, but because my hand is changing the very atmosphere around your life. In every place that once made you afraid, I am reclaiming that ground for you. Doors that were tightly shut, I am touching so they swing open gently, as if they had never been locked. I am bringing your name to the minds of people you never thought would remember you, and they themselves will become bridges, leading you into positions you never dared to make your goal. You do not need to push your way forward. Do not need human strength. Do not need to lie awake searching for a path, for I have softened hearts that seemed hard as stone and turned the thoughts of those in authority whom you could not reach before. What they are now preparing to do for you is not because they feel a special affection for you, nor because you made some great impression. It is because I am stirring them from within, redirecting their calculations in the way most favorable to you. Every decision they make, every sudden thought, every brief impression that crosses their minds when they remember you, all of it is woven into the plan I have arranged with meticulous care. The truth is, there is no such thing as luck in this story. Every movement unfolding in your life is aligned by a wisdom beyond your understanding. This is not coincidence, this is my clear intervention. Every encounter you thought was mere chance has been arranged by me as links in a strong chain leading you to your new place. The words spoken to you, the way people look at you, the gentle praise you receive in places you have never even set foot before, all of it is directed by me to open a straight path before you. I am the Lord God of every breath, of every shaft of light slipping through a crack in the door, of every small detail that seems trivial but is in fact one of the bricks I am using to build your journey. If you knew how tightly woven each of your steps is at this moment, you would weep with gratitude, realizing that I care not only about the great things, but also about the smallest details of your life. I am placing you in positions that you once only dared to watch from afar with a sense of inferiority, thinking they were reserved for people more capable, more confident, stronger than you. But today, it is I who lead you in, not so you will tremble, but so you will recognize that this place is not a reward you have earned for yourself, but a portion I ordained for you long ago. As for your body, I want you to listen carefully to every word I speak. Many nights you have tossed and turned, feeling your heart pulled taut by countless worries about your health, your future, and the things you fear might happen. There were times you stifled your sighs so others would not hear, but I heard them. There were times you placed your hand on the place that hurt, with your heart tightening, thinking that anxiety was the only thing you could do. But today, I declare something clearer than any medical diagnosis. What is out of order within you is being restored to the alignment I ordained. This is not a halfway healing, not just enough for you to get by, but a complete restoration from the hidden places you cannot see to the outward signs that will cause others to marvel at the change in you. You have lived under worry for too long, letting negative thoughts seep into every corner of your mind, slowly eroding your strength. I've seen it all, and I will not allow it to go on. Let me say this slowly and close to your heart. You are not alone in this battle. I am reestablishing balance in every cell. I am correcting what seemed misaligned. I am driving out of your body what does not belong to you. You have thought your health was slipping away day by day, but I am lifting you up in the very area you fear the most. Take hold of my word as the rope that keeps you standing. You will not collapse because of this. I have spoken, and my word does not return empty. You will begin to notice small changes, gentle signs that something inside you is being healed. The things that once filled you with confusion will gradually lose their power. For when I set things back in order, darkness has no place left to hide. You do not realize that it is precisely when your body feels weakest that I am working the most strongly. You feel exhausted, but I am renewing life within you. You feel off balance, but I am rebuilding the foundations inside you so they are strong enough to withstand the tests of time. You feel everything slowing down, but I am using this slowing to allow your body enough time to heal. Not a single tear you shed in those weary nights has been meaningless. I gather them all, and I use them as water to nourish the new life springing up within you. And remember this, my child, the process I am working in you is not against you, but with you, to lift you into a new season of fuller life than before. I am rebuilding your vigor, restoring strength in your soul, and rekindling the courage you thought was gone. Every step you take from here on will no longer be the steps of someone merely trying to survive. but the journey of one being restored under the hand of God, one who knows they are loved, protected, and upheld by the one who never lets go. My beloved child, as you begin to surrender completely and open your heart to my voice, there are things happening in the unseen realm that your physical eyes cannot perceive, but your spirit will gradually sense. Little by little, I am working deeper than you think, so deep that even the parts you believed were hardened, burnt out, beyond the possibility of recovery, are being touched and renewed by me quietly, yet powerfully. The tremors you feel in those hours of prayer are not just fleeting emotion. They are signs that my life is flowing into every corner of your being. From soul to body, there is no fiber, no cell, no thought of yours that I do not see, do not cherish, do not breathe life into again. You have walked through seasons when you believed you could never rise again, moments when you were sure everything had slipped beyond your control, and times when you thought your body was too worn out to respond to any miracle. Yet it was exactly in those moments that I began my healing work, silent yet absolute, gentle yet full of power, and no one can stop it. Every system in your body is receiving my healing touch, whether you are conscious of it or not. Your bloodstream, the process you once thought was merely biological, is being cleansed by the breath of life I give. Your bones, where years of hidden weariness and unspoken burdens have been stored, are being strengthened by my power until even the pain you were used to enduring will gradually fade. And you will not know at what moment it left you. The organs deep within you, places doctors may see but can never reach to the very root, are being restored by the hand of the one who created them. And your mind, the greatest battlefield, where you have lost more times than you can count on exhausting days, is being reset by me so that you may enter a new season, no longer shackled by painful memories or pessimistic voices that have tormented your soul for so long. What humankind calls chronic, I call already rewritten by me. I do not see the things that linger in your body as a final full stop. I see them as opportunities to reveal the glory, the life, and the power that I placed upon you before you were ever born. The illnesses you thought would follow you to the end of your days no longer have the right to rule over you, because I, the one who has conquered all death, have laid my hand upon them. The limitations doctors measure with numbers, I break apart with my breath, what people call too late. Beyond improvement, at its limit, are only human words, not my decree. I do not heal the way they treat. I do not use the methods they use. I am not bound by the conclusions they make. I act in my way, gentle, yet absolute, hidden, yet undeniable, slow in human eyes, yet perfect in my timing. Do not think that I only heal physical pain. I am also touching the things you have hidden in the deepest places, the weariness of your soul, the wounds left by others, the fears you dare not name, the hopes you buried because you were afraid of disappointment. I am removing, layer by layer, the burdens that have bound you for so many years, so that you will not only be well, but strong in the very image in which I created you. What I am doing for you is not simply curing a sickness. I am rebuilding your life from the inside out, like a potter reshaping a vessel with his own hands, so careful that not a single old crack is allowed to shatter the new form I am weaving again. And my child, I am not only at work in you, but also upon the lives of those you carry heavily in your heart. I see the times you have prayed for your family, your friends, those who are far from you or far from me, those you love who are battling struggles you cannot step in to fix. I see every word you breathe out for them, every tear that falls because you worry for them, every secret wish you tuck inside your chest that they would be safe, would return, would be healed. Every one of those has come before me, and I never let a single prayer that springs from true love fall to the ground in vain. I have gone ahead of you to the places where they are. I have set a hedge of protection around their minds. I have stopped disasters you will never know had come so close to them. Do you know that those you intercede for are being cared for by me as tenderly as you are yourself? Not one of them is forgotten in the battles they are going through. Even when you are not there beside them to support or comfort them, for those you love but cannot approach, I am standing there in your place. For those who are wandering, I am straightening the path. For those who are weak, I have stationed angels around them to guard them from what they cannot see. For those walking through failure and upheaval, I am resetting the road they will take, opening ways out that, for now, they do not even know exist. You think you must fight on their behalf, but you do not realize that I, myself, have stood in front of them in every one of those battles. You only need to believe that your intercession is never meaningless. I am also arranging encounters, changes, and interventions you could not imagine. You ask me to bring them back in peace, while I am preparing an entire journey for that to happen, a journey that is neither rushed nor half-hearted, not left to chance, but woven out of my eternal wisdom. You cannot see the next step, but I see the whole path. You do not understand why there must be waiting, but I know that if the ones you love were to step too quickly into what I have prepared while they are not yet ready, even the blessing would become a burden. So I pull them back a little. I correct what must be corrected. I heal what must be healed. And then I will lead them into the day of return you have longed for. My beloved child, all the work I am doing, in you and in those you love, has one and the same purpose, that none of you will enter a new season, still carrying brokenness that has not been restored. I want you strong, and I want them strong as well. I want you whole, and I want them whole too. What I am doing is not a scattering of isolated miracles, but a continuous flow of life, poured into each life, each heart, each family that I love. Never think I only keep my eye on you alone. I look upon the whole circle of love around you, because I know your heart will not truly rest while those you love are still struggling in the shadows. Therefore, rest in this truth. Not one of your prayers is forgotten. Not one of your tears falls for nothing. Not one of your burdens is carried without me bearing it with you. Step by step, I am bringing you and the ones you love to the place I have appointed, where there is complete healing, where there is peace, where there is protection, where there is a future full of hope that I have long prepared. You only need to keep believing, keep standing, and keep handing over to me every part of yourself, both the weak parts you think I do not need to know, and the strong parts you think you can handle on your own. For when you surrender everything to me, you will see that my power is not only enough to lift you up, but also enough to lift the souls you carry daily in your intercession. My child, I have seen every smallest movement in your soul, the things no one else ever pays attention to but which are still enough to make your heart ache. There are days when you keep a calm appearance on the outside, but deep within, you feel as though you are being pushed back into a corner with no way out. You try to hold yourself together, try not to react, try to preserve what little peace you feel you have left. Yet the unrest inside still rises in waves like an undertow. You wonder why things you did not choose, words you did not say, actions you did not do, could affect your life so strongly. You even try to accept it all with gentleness, but a part of you still feels forgotten, unseen, and at times pushed away from the very things you have poured yourself out to protect. I know the moments when you want to look up and ask me, Lord, how long must I endure this? And I do not blame you for that question. I know it rises from a weary heart, not a rebellious one, but my dear one, I never let you fight alone. even when your feelings insist otherwise. Let me say this to you with tenderness, yet full authority: do not lose your peace over what you cannot control. You were not born to tense every muscle against every change, or to try to hold everything in your small hands. You are not the one who runs the universe, nor the one who decides the final steps of someone else's path. I am the one who keeps the rhythm of all that happens. I am the one who sees through every hidden corner and governs every current you cannot see. You only see the surface: a cutting remark, a contemptuous glance, a jealous attitude, a comparison that makes your heart sink, but I see the roots within them, the wounds, the fears, the lack, and the frailty they dare not admit. You are hurt by what they say, but they are imprisoned in their own darkness. You think they are strong, yet in truth, they are far weaker than you. And precisely because you cannot see the true motives of the human heart, I do not want you to try to control other people's reactions, nor to let their attitudes become the measure of your worth. They have no right to define you, and they cannot overturn what I have already ordained. I know the times you swallow your pain, choosing silence instead of reacting, choosing forbearance instead of contention, choosing to hold your breath to keep the peace rather than defend yourself. But that silence has exhausted your soul. It is as if you are carrying a heavy stone no one knows about, and the longer you carry it, the more your hands tremble. You may not complain to anyone, but there has not been a single moment when I did not hear the cry of your heart twisting within you. There are afternoons when you sit staring into space and your eyes do not truly focus on anything. There are nights when you lie down with your heart pounding fast from anxiety, and there are mornings when you open your eyes but your soul still feels wrapped in a gray fog. You cannot put a name to any one thing. You only feel a weight pulling you down. I see every bit of that. I see when you are smiling, yet your heart is cracked. When you are trying to be strong, yet your breath is uneven. When you want to keep being kind, yet inside you only want to give up. And my beloved, if I did not intervene, you would go on carrying those wounds, thinking they are just an inevitable part of life. But I want you to look at what I am clothing you with now. I am replacing chaos with honor. I am giving you authority to stand up without shame. I am placing peace where storms once raged. You may not recognize that this process is underway, but I am reweaving your garment not with outward fabric, but with invisible threads within your spirit. I am not only changing your circumstances, I am changing you. What once caused you to collapse will become the new ground on which you stand firm. What once made you ashamed, I will turn into a place where you are honored. What once filled you with fear, I will make into the place where you step forward in authority. Do you know that the deepest restoration does not begin when circumstances change, but when you look at yourself and realize you no longer feel the same shame as before? That is the sign that I have begun to heal you. Before you had a single thought in your mind, I had already written the story of your life. Not only the beautiful parts, but also the dark stretches, the sudden turns, the stumbles you once counted as failures. I did not write so that you would hurt, but so that those places of pain would become gateways to the maturity you need. You think you were pushed to the sidelines when others did not include you in their plans, but you do not know that I have used those very things to place you exactly where I want you. Many times you have thought, if they had not done that, my life would be different. But consider this: could that rejection be the very way I am protecting you from attachments that were never meant for you? Could it be that the decisions they made, even when unfair, are actually how I am pushing you off a path that looked safe, but would have drained you dry? You do not see the whole picture, but I do. You only see a short stretch of road, while I see the entire map. There are times when you step into unexpected turns and assume you have taken a wrong path, but not one of your steps lies outside my permission. In the very places where you thought there was no way out, I have been quietly opening a path while you were unaware. In the moments you felt that everything was against you, I was actually leading you away from a battle you did not even know you had narrowly escaped. And in those moments when you feel shoved into a corner, belittled, misunderstood, cut off from the position you poured yourself out to protect, in truth, I am separating you from things no longer worthy to walk with you into the next stretch of your journey. I have heard every sigh. I have seen every disappointed glance. And I have kept every one of your tears like precious pearls that I will never let be lost. You are still standing here today, still breathing, still walking, still seeing the light, not because the world has been kind to you, but because I have laid my hand upon you to hold you fast. And know this, my child, you are not lost. You are simply walking through a stretch of the road whose meaning even you yourself do not yet understand. But every dark stretch is a page I am writing with intention. You have not lost your way. You are being directed. You are not being pushed off the path. You are being shifted onto a way that is newer, better, wider, cleaner, truer. What I am preparing for you is greater than anything you have ever imagined. And because it is greater, I must cut away, purge, and remove all that can no longer bear the weight of the grace I am about to place upon you. You are not in a season of being forgotten. You are in a time of preparation. My beloved child, do not fear what is beyond your reach. Those things have never been beyond mine. No distance can keep me from coming near to you. No stretch of time can make me forget you. No decision of humankind can block what I have already ordained for you. Everything that has ever wounded you will become part of the testimony of my protection. Everything that has ever made you bow your head will become the very place where I lift you to stand upright. And every place that has ever been a storm in your soul will become the place where I lay my peace. You will see me move in ways you did not expect, because I never end your story in the chapter of pain. I am only leading you into the chapter of resurrection, where you will look back and say, if it had not been for the Lord, I would never have made it through. And that day is closer than you think. My beloved, let me widen what I am speaking to you, not in fragments, not in scattered pieces, but as one continuous stream flowing on from what you have just received, so that your spirit can feel the heartbeat of my word, and your soul can understand that I am leading you into a place that is deeper and softer, yet stronger than anything you have ever known. Every moment in which you could not understand why events kept turning in such unpredictable ways. Every door you kept knocking on that would not open. Every interaction that felt as if someone were squeezing your heart. Every time you poured yourself out and no one noticed, all of it has been within my sight. Do not think that I ignore the silence you swallow down, or the times you have had to tear your own heart apart just to protect the peace of someone else. No, I see every single one of these things with the kind of understanding that only the Creator can have for His own creation. I do not let a single moment of your life fall into meaninglessness. Even when you see no reason, hear no explanation, and cannot understand why everything seems to move in the opposite direction of what you have prayed for, you are still flowing within a plan far greater than anything your eyes can see. I, the one who sees from the beginning to the end, know every single thing you have endured, every pain you have bitten back and hidden because you did not want to disappoint anyone. There are things you have kept inside for so long that even you think I have forgotten them. But in truth, I have watched every tear that fell onto your pillow, every time you drew a deep breath to stop yourself from crying, every moment you forced a smile to disguise the fear trembling inside. I see the times you have wanted to disappear from everything, to escape the heavy words that stab your heart, to get away from the cold looks that feel like blades twisting into your soul. I see the times you walk with your head bowed, not because of guilt, but because of hurt. I see the moments you long to scream at the injustice, but choose silence instead to keep the peace, or simply because you are afraid that if you speak, People will misunderstand you one more time. I see all those hidden sacrifices the world will never know. But I remember every single one, and I understand better than anyone the weariness you are trying so hard to hide. You are exhausted, yet you keep going because you think that if you stop, there will be no one else to carry that responsibility. You have wanted to give up many times, but then you think, if I quit, who will do this? You have become a warrior even though you never asked to wear armor. I know that this has left you lying down many nights with no strength left to pray, with only enough will to whisper one sentence, Lord, if you are still here, please don't let me collapse. I hear those words, even when you think you are too weak to pray. I receive that sigh as the most sincere offering your heart can lift to heaven. My dear one, I want you to know that every time you choose to stand up again when there is no motivation left, every time you fight to keep your heart from turning dark with bitterness, every time you decide to trust in me when there is no evidence before your eyes, those moments shine brighter than any applause people could ever give you. What you do is not being cast into a void. It is forming a journey that I honor, that I hold, that I am shaping to lead you into a new season. You think you are just trying to get through the day, but in reality you are taking steps that carry eternal weight in the spiritual realm. Steps you yourself cannot see. The assembly of angels sees it. I see it, and I will not allow your efforts to be empty. I am not giving you a temporary healing just to soothe your feelings, nor am I handing you pretty, hollow words to make you feel better for a few hours, only to send you back to the same old pain. No, I am doing something far deeper than that. Do you know why I allow you to walk through seasons that feel so unbearably heavy? Because I do not want your healing to be only surface deep. You have tried to reach peace by your own strength, and that peace quickly dissolved. You have tried to comfort yourself, to pull yourself back up. But whatever you build on your own will can collapse at the slightest trouble. I do not want you living on such fragile emotions. I want to heal you at the root, at the places you have never dared to open, never dared to face, never even dared to name. It is into those very hidden corners, the memories that haunt you, the dreams that were crushed, the failures you thought you would never overcome, that I am now stepping to restore. No one else sees this process, but I see every movement of your soul as it shifts. When you choke up because you are too tired, I draw near. When you are afraid of being abandoned, I pull you closer to my heart. When your heart is sliced by careless words, I smooth over each crack so it does not shatter further. When you no longer have the strength to stand, I lift you not with a harsh, overpowering force, but with a gentleness only a heavenly Father can show his wounded child. I am restoring you in a way you cannot imagine, not loud, not showy, but with such power that one day you will realize you no longer tremble before the very things that once killed you from the inside. My child, I am forming in you a new endurance, not so you will grit your teeth and suffer more, but so you can step into a new season with a stability that cannot be shaken. So you will understand that your worth does not lie in applause, in recognition, or in the hands of other people, but in my eyes, the eyes that never misjudge you. In my eyes, you are not someone merely trying to get by. You are one who has walked through more darkness than most and still kept your light. In my eyes, you are not weak. You are one who has fought in silence, wept in stillness, endured in loneliness, and yet has never truly let go of me. In my eyes, you are not forgotten. You are the one I am shaping day by day to become stronger than all the times you thought you had already reached your limit. I am preparing for you a shift, a turning point so great that right now you cannot clearly see it. But you will one day understand why no waiting, no loss, no wound was wasted. The deepest places within you where you hide your pain, your collapse, the moments you silently longed for someone to understand, the seconds when you wanted to disappear from this world just to find a little peace. These are exactly the places where my hand is resting and working now. A healing is being formed from the very points where you hurt the most. A strength is rising from the very place you once thought you had died. A new life is being breathed by me into the parts of you that you believed had already withered. And then you will see everything you have gone through was never meant to destroy you, but to free you from the things that once imprisoned your soul. I am raising you up, not so you can go back to the way things were, but so you can step into a version of yourself that is stronger, clearer, and far more mature in the spirit. You will not return to the old place because I never restore you, just to take you back to the ground that once hurt you. No, I am lifting you higher. I am opening before you a new horizon, where you will no longer just know me by knowledge, but by the living experience of your own heart, where you will not only have heard that I am the healer, but will have felt that healing hand upon your own soul. I am changing you from the inside, little by little, and this process, whether you feel it fully or not, is building a spiritual life so steady that the trials to come will no longer have the power to shake you as they once did. You will not have to prove your worth to anyone. My presence upon you will speak for itself. You will not have to fight as one who is weak. I will fight for you. You will not have to scramble to be loved. I have loved you since before you knew how to love yourself. And believe this, what you are enduring now is not an ending, but the opening chapter of a great rebuilding within you. You think you are falling apart, but I am actually reconstructing every foundation that ever cracked. You think you are losing, but I am preparing to give you back far more than you had before. You think you are alone, but this is the very moment I am standing closest, to place in your hands what no one else could ever give you. You are not on the wrong road. You are simply passing through the necessary ground to become the person you were created to be. Let me keep leading you. You have never once left my sight, not for a single second. You need only take my hand, and I will lead you to the place where your old wounds will no longer have the right to define you. You need only whisper, "Lord, I am here," and I will answer, "I have always been with you, my child. Be still for a moment, and let me continue to lead you deeper into the part you have been afraid to face for so long. In this part, I am speaking to you as a father, sitting down beside you, placing my hand on your shoulder and looking straight into the place you have kept most hidden. These are not gentle words meant only to soothe you for a while, nor are they shallow promises. I am stepping into the very place where you were formed, where distorted beliefs took root from the time you did not yet know how to protect yourself, where the scratches of the years quietly shaped you in ways I never intended. You need to listen carefully to this, because it is directly connected to the shift of season I am opening before you. I see very clearly the things you do not have enough words to express. You have looked at yourself and believed that you are not capable enough, not valuable enough, not remarkable enough to do what I am calling you to do. Those words did not come from me. They came from the blows life dealt you too early, too suddenly, so that you received them as truth. You have heard too many words of comparison, seen too many successes of others, watched them go faster and stand more firmly, and you began to think that you had fallen out of step with grace. But you did not know that every step I write for you is calibrated so carefully that it cannot be substituted or exchanged. I do not create two journeys that are the same, and I have never intended for you to live under the feeling of being less than anyone. The only thing that has held you back is not inadequacy, but the distorted thoughts that have clung to you through each wound in ways that are very subtle. You must understand this. I do not only care about the obvious wounds, the things others can see on the surface. I am touching the deepest layer of your soul, the place of thoughts, memories, and quiet beliefs that you accepted long ago without realizing they were chains. I am not patching up holes to make you look okay. I am uprooting the things that made you see yourself wrongly and see me wrongly. I am dismantling each layer of bricks you unconsciously stacked up to protect yourself, the words of criticism that made you withdraw, the rejections that made you afraid to trust anyone's sincerity, the moments of abandonment that made you believe you were not worthy of love. Each of those layers has distorted your understanding of your own value and has led you to imagine that I look at you with the same harsh eyes you turn on yourself. But I have never seen you that way. From the moment you were formed, I called your name according to a very specific purpose. That is why I cannot allow the image of yourself in your own eyes to be twisted any further. There have been long nights when you tossed and turned, not because of your circumstances, but because old sentences echoed in your mind. You're not good enough. You're too late. You're too messy to be used. Those sentences are like thorns lodged in your heart, making you hesitate whenever I stir you to move forward. But you have not known that if you would just take a single step, I could open an entire sky for you. I do not look at you through the lens of failure. I see you through the grace I have poured over you throughout your journey. Even in the years you thought were wasted, the seasons when you believed you had not grown, not changed, not accomplished anything, I have been gathering every fragment to turn them into testimony. Not a single moment of your life is meaningless. I have used even your darkest days to enlarge your heart, to give you a deeper understanding of mercy, to teach you how to empathize with others in a way that those who have never walked through pain could never truly understand. I am restoring what you thought was lost, and I am making it far more precious than before. Right now, in this very moment, I am drawing out of your heart the things you have lived with for so long that you came to believe they were part of who you are, the anxiety that hangs over you like a shadow, the fear disguised as caution, the insecurity that makes you hold back from the opportunities I give you when you should be stepping into them with confidence. You have thought those things were your personality, your nature, your unchangeable temperament, but they are not. They are only old garments you put on because of your wounds. Today I am taking them off. I am placing within you a balance you never believed you could possess, calm in place of impulsive reaction, clarity in place of confusion, understanding in place of vagueness. And as those things quietly leave you, you will notice yourself becoming lighter, as if someone has lifted from your shoulders a burden you have carried for so long that you no longer realized it was there. You have also walked through many moments when your emotions rose and fell like the tide, making it hard for you to trust my plan. You watched others move quickly while you stood still, and you concluded that you were falling behind, that your opportunity had passed you by. But I want you to know this: the timing I have set for you has never been late. Not a single plan I have written for you has been canceled because of delay. The seasons when you stopped were not because you failed, but because I wanted you to be healed before you stepped into the new. I will never lead a child who is still fractured into a vast land they are not yet able to steward. If I allow a pause, it is because I am strengthening what is inside, so that you have a solid foundation when you enter the next part. You need to receive this with all your heart. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You are not walking after anyone else. You are moving at exactly the pace I have ordained for you, the pace that protects you, heals you, and gives you enough time to become the person you are meant to be. I do not throw you into the battlefield before you are ready. I place you in temporary shade to shield you from the scorching rays that would harm the most tender parts of your soul. When I see that you have grown strong, I will lead you back onto the open road, and then you will move faster than you ever imagined you could. I am also establishing a new discernment in your mind. In the place that was once tangled, I am drawing clear lines of purpose. This matters because you are about to enter a season where confusion will have no room to remain. You need to know who you are, where I have positioned you, and what you are called to do. You need to know what comes from me and what springs only from passing emotion. You need to recognize the difference between my voice and the voice of fear, wearing the mask of intuition. I am sharpening your discernment so that you will no longer wander in circles because of uncertainty. The clarity I am placing in your heart will become a lamp for your steps in the moments when you feel lost. You will no longer fear taking a wrong step, because you will know you are walking under my guidance, not on the fragile ground of your own emotions. And from here on, you will see yourself changing without having to strain so hard. You will find yourself more at peace in the face of uncertainty. You will no longer overreact to small things. You will know how to pause instead of panicking. You will know when to move and when to stand still, when to speak and when to remain silent. All of this will not come from exhausting self-discipline, but from the way I am reshaping your inner being. I am not merely adjusting behaviors one by one. I am transforming the roots. When the roots are healed, the fruit will change accordingly. My child, what I am doing in you is not small. It does not only affect your today, it touches the years ahead, the people you will meet, and even the generations you have not yet seen. You are being reshaped for a purpose far greater than you imagine. You are not meant to step into a new season with an old mindset. I am preparing you to enter it with wholeness, stability, and maturity, the very things you have longed for but never knew how to reach. If you continue to let me lead you, every part of you will be brought together in completeness. You will look back at all the time you thought was lost and realize those were the very pieces needed for you to become who you are today. And then you will understand that the healing I am working in you is not just so you can feel better, but so you will be strong enough for what I am inviting you into, ahead where courage, sensitivity of spirit, and decisive faith will be more necessary than ever. My child, I have seen every corner of the place where you live, not only with the eyes of the one who created the universe, but with the heart of a father watching his beloved child trying to navigate an environment full of broken fragments. When I say I see your home, it does not mean I observe objects or the things human eyes can see. I look through that outer layer and see the real life hidden inside. I see the heavy silences no one dares to break, the conversations that seem to end but still leave aftershocks in each heart, the wounds passed from father to child, from mother to child, pains carried across the years because no one has had the strength to heal them. I see the repetition of old cycles, the family stories that seem to be copied and pasted from generation to generation, making you sometimes sigh without even knowing why your heart feels so weighed down. But my child, I do not step into that house as someone who comes to judge or criticize. I come as the only one who can change the very atmosphere there. I can turn tension into a place of rest, transform awkward silences into spaces of understanding, and breathe in a new current of life that has never existed there before. I do not come merely to adjust small details, but to lay a new foundation for everything, the foundation of peace, of forgiveness, of healing. I am turning memories that once made your heart ache into memories redeemed by grace. You once trembled when you thought about what had happened, once shrank inside because of what others said and did, but I say to you, every memory marked by pain will become a story that testifies to my power. What once made you bow your head in shame will become the very reason you stand tall and say, "It was the Lord who rescued me from this." Not one tear you have cried do I allow to fall in vain. The people who live with you, the ones I have placed beside you, even if they seem stubborn, even if they have not yet changed, even if they never speak the apology you have longed to hear, are also in the process of being touched by me. You think they do not listen to you. You think they do not notice the changes in you. You think your words vanish into the air, but you do not know that in the quiet evenings, when you think they are unaware, they are still thinking about what you have done, about the peace you now carry, about the way you are no longer easily swept up into chaos as before. They are being moved by me in ways you cannot yet see clearly. The word I have spoken over your family will not return empty. Every declaration I have made concerning your household will be fulfilled in my exact timing, not earlier, so that no one may boast, and not later, so that no one may lose hope. Believe this, I have never spoken a careless word. Once I have said it, heaven and earth themselves will shift to complete it. You also do not know how many eyes have followed your journey without you realizing it. The smiles they give you, the blessings they speak over you, sometimes carry a thin mist of jealousy, of motives that are not pure. I have heard the words they say behind your back, the light, casual judgments that pierce like needles, the dark expectations hidden beneath polite behavior. I know those who bow their heads to greet you while secretly desiring your failure, just so they can feel above you for a moment. I see the handshakes that seem warm but conceal a hope that you will stumble so they can have a story to tell. You have never heard these things, but I have heard them all. You have not seen them, but I have seen every detail. And what pleases me about you is not perfection, but the way you have chosen to respond. You did not defend yourself, even though you could have. You did not rush to prove you were right, even though truth stood on your side. You did not react in the way they expected, even though your emotions had every reason to flare up. You chose silence in the face of insinuation. You chose composure in the face of provocation. You chose to entrust the truth to me instead of carrying the battle alone. You thought that choice was weakness, but to me it is a wisdom not everyone possesses, because at the very moment you stepped aside, you allowed me to stand in the place that has always been mine, the place of your defender. You must know this, I do not let injustice pass untouched. I do not overlook a single malicious word aimed at you. I do not take lightly the schemes laid to make you fall. But instead of letting you fight in your own strength, I myself am the one who will contend for you. I will stand in your place where you have been misunderstood. I will restore justice where others have twisted the truth. I will bring to light what they have tried to hide. I will set you in the place I have prepared for you. And I will cause even those who once hoped for your downfall to witness the way I restore and lift you up, not so that you may gloat, but so that they may know that I am your Lord, and that whoever touches you touches the apple of my eye. Every wall you cannot see, I see. Every scheme hidden behind a smile, I expose. Every word spoken to sow suspicion around your name, I will pull down brick by brick, layer by layer of disguise. I am tearing down every structure that has been raised up to block your path, not with noise and spectacle, but with quiet majesty. When I defend you, I do not need to shout, I simply decree, and that alone is enough to shift the circumstances. I will open doors you thought were locked, and I will shut the pathways others have used to attack you. I will work in ways you do not expect, at times you cannot predict, by methods you could never imitate. You stay still in the peace I have placed within your heart. You do not need to return to old battles. I have already taken my stand there. You do not need to explain yourself to anyone. I will be the one who confirms the truth. You do not need to repeat your hurts. I have inscribed them in my own heart. Your one task is simply to keep walking after me, to keep your heart pure, and to let me do the rest, the part that only I can do. My child, listen deeply to me, because these words do not come to light a brief spark of hope, but to awaken the strongest part of your soul, the part you yourself believed had fallen asleep after so many long days of waiting. I am moving, even in this very moment, without prior notice, without announcement, without requiring you to prepare yourself emotionally or create a perfect spiritual atmosphere. I am not limited by human calendars or clocks. I do not need to choose a convenient time, because every time is already in my hand. When I rise, Nothing can delay me. And when I speak, no power is permitted to overrule me. You have believed that certain things in your life are fixed deep wounds that never heal, fractures that will not mend, conclusions doctors once declared final, and doors you closed yourself in order to feel safe. Yet now I am carefully dismantling these things piece by piece, layer by layer, part by part. I am not only touching your body, I am touching the hidden depths no one else knows, the memories you thought had grown cold, the emotions you believed had died, the fears you hide behind your smile, and even the dark corners you have never dared to name. When I touch you, no part of your being is left behind. Everything is released, healed, and reshaped by my hand. And the wonder is this: those people you quietly carry in your prayers, the ones who keep you awake at night, who bring you to tears because you love them so much, who make you worry more than you dare admit, they too are being touched by me right now. Not because they are crying out, but because you have cried out on their behalf. Not because they are perfect, but because your silent love for them has reached my heart. Not one of them has slipped from my sight, not one has escaped the shelter of my arms, and not one has stepped beyond the bounds of the grace I have prepared. You think they are far away, but from where I stand, they are very close. You think their hearts are hard, but I know the soft places deep within them. You think your prayers have dissolved into the air, but in truth I have lifted each one before my throne far more times than you realize. Today, the work I am doing in you is not only for you, it is spreading outward like ripples from a stone dropped into still water. Not one of your petitions is wasted. Every request you bring to me carries the weight of love. And that love always moves my heart. Understand this: there has not been a single moment in your journey that I have allowed to pass without my careful attention. Every tear you have shed, I have counted. Every time you tried to take another step while your legs were trembling, I have taken note. Every disappointment you have endured without walking away from me, I remember. Never believe that I am indifferent or forgetful. In the times you thought I was most silent, I have been working the deepest and the widest. That silence was never meant to drive you to despair, but to prepare the soil, prepare the sky, prepare the exact conditions for what I have promised to bloom in the right time, the right season, the right measure. You once thought my promises were fading further away each day. You taught your own heart to stop expecting so you would not hurt more when they did not yet appear. You traded hope for numbness, traded expectation for a cold acceptance, traded prayer for a long, dragging weariness. But my child, while you thought everything was slipping behind you, I have been intricately arranging everything that needs to appear at the most perfect moment. Many things you believed were dead have only been sleeping in my hand. Many dreams you thought were removed from your life have actually been growing in the quiet of my presence. You once asked me, "Lord, why is this taking so long?" And I did not answer you at once. Not because I ignored you, but because the answer itself is woven into the very process of what I am doing. Just as a child cannot be born before the time is full, the things I am forming in you also need time to grow, to be completed, to remain unbroken when the storms arrive. If I hurried, you would not be able to bear the weight of what I am about to give you. If I acted too soon, the blessing would turn into a burden. But you cannot see this, so you think I am delaying. I have never delayed. I have been building foundations deep enough that you will not collapse when the blessing begins to unfold. You feel that the silence has stretched too long, but in that very silence, I am fitting each piece into its perfect place. I am preparing you from the inside before you see outwardly what I have prepared. You ask me to change your circumstances, but I am changing you first, because if you are not prepared, even the blessing will exhaust you. Let me say this softly yet deeply. What you call failure has often been only a pause for me to turn the larger picture around. What you see as a dead end is actually a curve in the road I have hidden just ahead. What you believe to be the last stop has become the place where I lay a new foundation for something better. In the months and years when you saw no visible change, I have been upgrading what is within you. Your endurance, your discernment, your inner strength, your humility, your sensitivity, your faith. You think you have been standing still, but in truth you have been growing. You think you are behind, but in reality you are being aligned. You think you have been forgotten, but you are actually being sheltered so you will not be harmed before the proper time. Everything I do is part of a plan far greater than you can imagine. And now, listen closely. The moment you have been waiting for is beginning to open, not because the circumstances have suddenly become favorable, but because the time I appointed has arrived. When I move, everything around you trembles. When I speak, everything that once stood in defiance melts like wax before the fire. When I draw near, every stone that once made you stumble is turned over, and fear no longer has any place to stand. This is not a small stirring. This is a shift that no one can stop. I am bringing you out of the old territory, leading you into a new chapter, bringing you into a place where the years of waiting are no longer a weight on your shoulders, but a testimony of faith refined in the fire. You have thought you were no longer strong enough to carry great things, but my child, it is precisely the time of waiting that has strengthened the very bones of your soul. Now you are steady enough to receive what I am about to place in your hands. Nothing in you has been left behind by me. Not one prayer has slipped from my memory. Not a single hope within you has been extinguished without my knowing. You have walked a long road, but you have never walked it alone. And today, yes, this very day, everything begins to change. Not by coincidence, not by luck, but because I, your Lord, have risen to stand in your place. All you need to do is follow me, because what is about to open before you goes far beyond anything you have ever dared to ask or imagine. My child, every word that has been hurled toward you like a sharp arrow, that once made your heart ache and left you wondering where you went wrong, is now falling one by one to the ground, no longer able to pierce your soul. I am not erasing your memories, but I am drawing out the venom from them. Every judgmental sentence, every label placed on you, every quick conclusion others made about you, I have put all of it under my feet. Their words may echo in your mind for a while, but they no longer have the right to define who you are, nor the right to decide how far you are allowed to go in the purpose I have for you. Every dark scheme hatched in secret, every hidden intention aimed at lowering your honor, at smearing the value I placed within you, is being undone by me, thread by thread, knot by knot, in ways you do not even see. The things that once tried to kill your joy will become powerless when I place my protection over your life, and you will witness this with your own experience. I do not need you to rise up and argue with everyone who misunderstands you, or use all your strength to prove that you are innocent. I am not asking you to fight every conversation in order to save your image or defend your voice. You only need to remain in me, and I will take care of the rest. The greatest vindication is not found in the arguments you present, but in the way I uphold you visibly through each stage of your journey. When I lift you up, when I open the way, when I keep you in peace while stories swirl around you, these very things will speak on your behalf. Sooner or later, people themselves will have to admit that there is a hand greater than all human calculation at work in your life, not because you are clever, not because you are skillful, but because I have chosen to stand with you, to cover you, to guard you, and to use you as a living testimony of my faithfulness. Now I am quietly rearranging the relationships around you, like a skilled craftsman setting each stone into its rightful place. There are connections you once tried hard to hold on to, thinking that if you lost them, you would not survive. Yet I have allowed them to drift from your grasp. This is not because I am indifferent, and certainly not because I take pleasure in your sense of loss, but because I know there are ties that seem close, yet are slowly tightening around your soul, making it hard for you to breathe without knowing why. I will not let you remain trapped there. I am replacing distorted connections with healthier, purer people, those who will not come to exploit your emptiness, but to walk with you in the light I have prepared. You may not see it clearly yet, but you will be amazed when you realize how carefully I have purified the circle around you. There will be people I bring into your life only to open a door for you. They are not meant to stay forever, but they are bridges I use for a particular season. There will be those I place beside you for the long journey. Not loud, not showy, but present when you are weakest, when you feel you have nothing left, and they will lift you with a few honest words or a quiet presence more precious than gold. There will also be people who simply walk alongside you, not pushing you up, not pulling you down, but looking to me with you in reverence and faithfulness. People who do not need to know every detail of your past in order to believe in the future I have set before you. I will help you recognize them by the peace in your heart, not by their impressive promises. When you meet those whom I have sent, you will no longer have to strain to explain yourself, nor hide the places where you are broken. You will be free to be your true self in the very process where I am healing you. What you have lost, if it truly belongs to me, will be returned to you in another form, cleaner, deeper, and far less wounding. As for the things that made you bleed, that filled your heart with scratches and scars, that pulled you away from me when they leave, let them go. Do not mourn over relationships where you always have to shrink yourself, always have to suppress what I have placed inside you just to fit someone else's expectations. Do not cling to connections after which your heart feels heavier, more confused, more fearful, instead of being drawn closer to me. The things that cause pain but do not lead to restoration are only anchors keeping you stuck in shallow waters. I have allowed certain things to pass out of your life because I know that if they stayed too long, they would become a great hindrance, keeping you from stepping into the new season I am leading you into. You think you are losing, but in truth, I am freeing you from what no longer belongs to you. On the contrary, what I am about to bring will have a different color. It will not come with confusion, nor will it be accompanied by the fear that you must cling to it tightly or lose it. It will not demand that you trade your inner peace for a false sense of security on the outside. The new things I am preparing will come with a deep and quiet joy, even if, on the surface, there are still many challenges. It is the kind of joy that does not depend on who stays and who leaves, but is built on me, the one who does not change his mind, and is not swayed by human moods. You will notice the difference when what comes from me enters your life. You will feel lighter, your hope will become clearer, your direction brighter, and you will no longer feel the need to play a role or become someone else just to be worthy of love. I will let you taste relationships that no longer repeat the same vicious cycle of old wounds, so that you may know I can write a completely new script without having to reuse the characters who once hurt you. While you are still troubled and asking yourself, what is going to happen to me? I have already been quietly at work in places you would never think of, in rooms you have never stepped into. There are conversations taking place where your name is mentioned, not with suspicion in their eyes, but with respect. In places you do not know, there are people preparing positions, opening opportunities, rearranging plans, without even understanding why everything seems to lean in your favor. I am softening the hearts of people you have never met, turning the thoughts of those who hold the power to decide, placing in them an unexplainable favor, so that by the time you appear, every door you truly need will open naturally. You do not need to know all those details, nor do you need to search anxiously to find out who is speaking well of me. If you keep worrying about that, you will fall back into the old trap trying to please people instead of living to please me. I want you to know that these movements are not happening because you know the right people, not because you know how to win people's favor, not because you are skillful at building an image. It all originates from me, the one who holds in my hand the entire rhythm of timing, human hearts, opportunities, and even what seems random. When I am at work, you do not need to step into the territory that belongs to me. Your part is simply to be faithful in the small things. Keep your heart pure, and continue walking in the light I give you day by day. Resources are being released, not only material things, but also grace, favor, support, protection, and helping hands stretched out at the very moment you think you are alone. I am gathering the scattered pieces from many different places and fitting them into a picture that only I can see in full. You see only a few steps ahead, but I see from beginning to end, from the moment you hurt to the moment you are lifted up, from when you thought you had been abandoned to when you realize you have never been outside of my sight. Little by little, I am pushing what is unnecessary out of the orbit of your life and bringing in what is needed, in the right order, in the right measure, at the right time. All you need is to keep your heart from growing bitter, from comparing, from blaming, so that when the blessing comes, it will not be distorted by wounds you have not yet placed in my hands. Remember this, my beloved child, nothing that I have marked as for you will ever be lost along the way. No one can steal it. No circumstance is strong enough to erase it, and no length of time can make it grow old in my hands. I do not misplace things, nor do I forget. I never miss an appointment with what my own mouth has declared. If you do not see it yet, that does not mean I have forgotten. It only means the time is not yet ripe. When the moment is right, what belongs to you will step into your life, not a second late, not missing a single detail, and it will not come with filthy strings attached that demand you trade away your peace. And when what I have prepared for you arrives, you will not have to beg people to acknowledge your worth, nor will you have to stand between two lines and compromise your conscience just to keep it. I do not give blessings with hidden traps. Anything that requires you to trade your integrity, your purity, or your intimacy with me is never from me, no matter how attractive it may look. But what I give, you can receive with gratitude and freedom, without being bound by the fear of losing it. I want you to live with this awareness: you do not live by the pity of others, nor do you exist by their approval. You are upheld by my hand, and I, myself, am the one who keeps the rhythm of everything that is coming into your life. So, take a deep breath and place your heart back in its rightful place, closer to me, closer to truth, closer to the light. Let me continue to arrange, remove, add, and adjust the things you do not yet understand. Even if your eyes have not seen, your ears have not heard, and your mind has not yet imagined, I am still tirelessly at work for your good, not because you deserve it, but because I love you, not because you never go astray, but because I have decided not to abandon you in the very moments you lose your way. And on the day you look back, you will know that every word I speak to you today is not only comfort, but a foretelling of a very real reality. I am working for you, on your behalf, and with you, until my will is fully revealed over your life. Now, open your heart and pour out to me the words you have carried for so long. like a child returning to the Father's arms after a weary journey. Almighty God, I come before you with a heart that hides nothing. I confess that I am so tired I no longer even know what to ask for. There are so many things in my life that I simply cannot understand, doors that keep closing, words that tear my heart apart, moments when I quietly wish I could disappear just to escape the pain. But today, I place all of it into your hands. Father, please step into every hidden place I have kept locked away, where I have never dared to let anyone touch. Please heal the parts of me I believed were dead. Revive life in the places I thought would never recover. And please let me know that I am still within your perfect plan, even when I cannot yet see the light at the end of the road. Holy Father, I ask you to hold my soul that is collapsing under wave after wave of life's storms. Some things have wounded me so deeply that I no longer have the words to describe them, and only sighs can stand in for my prayers. Please wipe away the tears I do not dare let anyone see. Soothe the wounds caused by careless words. I have tried to stand firm, but I know I cannot do that on my own forever. Please lay a new foundation for me. Help me to stand in your strength and not be shaken by any trial that is drawing near. Lord, my refuge, I have grown so used to appearing strong that I have forgotten I am allowed to be weak in your arms. Please grant me a peace that does not depend on praise or applause, a courage that does not come from human recognition. Please restore in me what time and hurt have worn down. You know, every time I have forced a smile to hide a heart that is aching. Please fill those empty spaces with your steady and abiding presence. Loving Father, I thank you for seeing every hidden thing, every tear I was too afraid to show, every time I tried to stand up when I had no strength left. Thank you for not taking my weariness lightly, but embracing it as part of the spiritual growth journey you are building in me. I know that without you, I would have sunk deeply into my own pain. But you came. You upheld me with your gentle hand and with eyes full of mercy. I thank you that the restoration you are working in me does not just touch the surface, but reaches down to the deepest places of my spirit. Lord, full of compassion, I am grateful that you do not leave me in the darkness of my own soul. Thank you that every season in which I thought I had been abandoned was actually when you were working most powerfully within my spirit. I am grateful that the closed doors did not destroy me, but helped me find the right path again. Thank you for seeing my worth, even when I thought I had nothing left to offer. I thank you that you stayed with me, even when I did not have the strength to pray. I offer this prayer in the holy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong and vibrant community of faith.